other than well-known academic, Palestinian academic, Dr. Haider. Dr. Haider, assalamu alaikum wa
Walaikum
rahmatullahi
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And the oppression of black people in South Africa. And they called on the international community to impose sanctions. We were the first people to heed that call. I myself remember myself holding placards and posters of Nelson Mandela in the mid-80s when I was at varsity in Europe, calling for release of Nelson Mandela and calling for boycott of orange and wine coming from Stellenbosch and Cape Town. Now that South Africa is free, now that South Africa has managed to get rid of apartheid with the election of Nelson Mandela as the first black president of multiracial South Africa in 1994, we have expectations. I think now it is time for South Africa to heed, and I'm not talking about civil society, I'm talking about official South Africa, the government of South Africa, to heed the call made by all Palestinian civil society organizations, political organizations, Council of Islamist and Nationalist organizations. They are all on the Secretariat of the Boycott National Committee, the BNC. And the first thing we called for in 2005 is a diplomatic boycott of apartheid. Seriously. I mean, how can we claim that we live in a post-apartheid era after 1994 while the flag of post-apartheid South Africa is fluttering in the skies of Tel Aviv, or the Israeli flag is fluttering in the skies of Pretoria? So we are expecting the South African government, in addition to everything that it has done by taking apartheid to the ICJ, also to cut all diplomatic ties exactly with Israel, exactly like what Colombia has done, what Venezuela has done. All freedom-loving people expect that from South Africa. As for the genocide, your second point about the genocide, people think that with the signing of the Trump plan, Sharm el-Sheikh, leading to the ceasefire, that the genocide had come to an end. And in fact, what happened is that since the beginning of the genocide until now, my information is that 900 people, Palestinians, have been killed on the eastern part occupied by Israel, behind the so-called yellow line. More than 1,500 houses since the beginning of the ceasefire. 1,500 houses behind the yellow line have been demolished. People get shot at all the time. 7 crossings surrounding the Gaza concentration camp, the Gaza extermination camp, are still closed. More than 40,000 patients.
Yes, and also I think what is important in what you are talking about right now is, and I recall when Francesca Albanese was here in my interview with her, she broke down the word ceasefire, where she says it means you cease and we fire, which is essentially what is actually happening. But just looking at forums like these, the PSA annual Banquet as well, and I'm sure, with the activist community, we've come a long way in terms of creating the awareness, in terms of the level of activism that we are taking. We've heard about the flotilla earlier on as well, from the medical specialists here as well. And so South Africa obviously is in good stead from an activist perspective. Okay, just in terms of expectations, to what extent have these expectations been met for you as the Palestinians?
Well, in fact, many of our expectations have been met by our South African communities on the ground, civil society. Yeah. Now, the difference between South African civil society and Arab civil society, is that in South Africa you have democracy, and therefore civil society can exert direct pressure on the government. In the Arab world, it's extremely difficult because you are dealing with dictatorships. 22 Arab countries that are led by dictators. In South Africa, we tend to believe that our comrades in arms are leading the country, the ANC, the SACP, and therefore we expect more from the South African government. When it comes to the solidarity groups, from the Palestine Solidarity Campaign in Cape Town, to the Palestine Solidarity Committee in Johannesburg, to the Palestine Solidarity Alliance here, gift of the givers, etc., etc. They are doing a tremendous amount of work, tremendous amount of activism in support of Palestine. But there is only one problem, and that problem is that they need to be united. We expect our comrades here from Cape Town to Durban to Potchefstroom to Johannesburg to work as comrades in arms together in support of the Palestinian-led global BDS campaign. And I think work needs to be done in that regard.
Well, Professor Haider, I know there's just so much you and I can talk, but I'm sure at some point in time we will obviously be talking on air on Salam Media as well.